Welcome back to the movie recap. Today I'm gonna show you a 2015 French horror thriller film called Evolution. Spoilers ahead. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. The movie begins with a young and thin boy named Nicholas, who swims in the sea. Each stroke he makes leads him to explore the vast content of the sea, the colorful fishes, and rocky corals. Still, Nicholas gasps in the air when he sees a boy's lifeless body with a red starfish lying on his waist. Afraid of the horrifying image that appears in his own eyes, Nicholas swims to the shore and runs home to tell his mother of the alarming scenario. As he runs, the dull atmosphere of their island adds to his horrifying feelings. The little boy's lungs try to catch up with his breathtaking running, and his thin limbs get along with his escape, supporting Nicholas' upper body. When he finally reaches their home, Nicholas quickly tells his mother about the lifeless body of a young boy that he sees beneath the deep blue sea. His mother blankly tells him that the sea can make a person see unimaginable things, throwing away her son's concern. Instead, she continues to wipe her son with a towel to dry his wet body from swimming and reminds him to be careful next time to prevent him from drowning. Nicholas' mother dives in and explores the area to prove that there is no dead body in the sea. When she gets out of the water, she tells Nicholas and his friends, who wait for her on the shore, that no lifeless body is lying beneath the water. Nicholas loves to draw everything that strikes from his memory. So after he has witnessed a young boy's lifeless body, Nicholas goes to his room, takes out his mini sketchpad, and starts to draw the image that keeps on bugging his head. And releases it out using his coloring material and a pad. When his mother arrives in his room, Nicholas stands up, secretly hides his sketchpad under his pillow, and sits on his bed. His mother also sits with him while she carries medicine for his son. She raises a drinking glass and uses a dropper to put 4 tiny drops of liquid medicine inside it. When his mother gives him the mixture, Nicholas asks his mother the reason why she says that he is sick. His mother explains that it is part of his development and compares his condition to crabs and lizards. These animals need to shed their old covering for them to grow, and they become fragile for a specific time when their covers are removed. Though he feels completely fine, his mother's explanation convinces Nicholas that what he experienced may be a part of the development. The following day, Nicholas and his friends play with a red starfish when one teases him for being afraid of it. This mocking leads Nicholas to burst out and attacks the other boy by wangling his neck and pinning him on the ground. When the others manage to get the 2 boys off, Nicholas picks up the red starfish and takes one of its arms but hits it with a rock. After Nicholas gets pissed, his mother leads him to a hospital to observe his sickly condition. When they reach the hospital, Nicholas half-nakedly lays on a hospital bed inside the operating room. A doctor injects an unknown substance into Nicholas' abdomen, and he proceeds to a room with other boys who get the same procedure. The hospital is unusual compared to the typical hospitals found in the city. Its haunted ambience complements the distant behavior of the nurses and doctors. When Nicholas asks them, they answer in atypical and monotonic voices, and they all show no emotions on their faces. Their cold eyes build a barrier wherein no one can pass through their thoughts and feelings. Nurses watch a cesarean procedure, and they blankly keep their eyes hooked on the medical procedure. As the day comes, Nicholas senses something terrible is happening in the hospital. He suspects the nurse's objective of treating them for sickness is a lie. To prove his suspicion, Nicholas waits until the sun comes down to tell his friend, Victor, about his doubt. To start his plan, Nicholas leaves his tiny window and silently knocks on another window in Victor's room. The suspicious boy continuously hits the window until Victor opens it. Nicholas tells his friend that they are lying about their condition of being sick. The intelligent young boy can sense that the doctors and nurses have a hidden agenda. So he wants Victor to come with him and follow them, but his friend declines his offer to come with him. Persistent in feeding his curiosity, Nicholas goes alone to follow the nurses who carry a lamp and walk down near the seashore. Once Nicholas reaches their location, all the nurses lying on the mud together, including his mother, squirming with their naked bodies as they pass an unidentifying object to each other. Nicholas continues to peek at the unexplainable scenario that he witnesses, but he cannot let this horror stay in his sight. So he runs back to his room and processes every little detail that he sees, disbelief at the creepy act he saw a few minutes ago. When he returns to his senses, Nicholas goes out of his door. The silent hallway creeps in the middle of his horrifying night. Still, Nicholas is intrigued by what he sees, so he continues to walk until he hears a splash of water running down the floor. Nicholas reaches the bathroom with a slightly open door when he follows the sound. Nicholas peeks into the small open space and inside the bathroom. He sees his mother in the bathroom washing away the mud clinging to her body and that she has suckers on her back, similar to starfishes. In the scanning room, the nurses give Nicholas an ultrasound, and they find the heart of the fetus beating inside of him. On the other hand, Victor goes inside the operating room with doctors and nurses waiting for extraction. Using all the medical tools, they cut Victor's abdomen, took out 3 small creatures, and put them in a jar full of water. They do the procedure like it is a normal thing they used to have for a long time. Emotionless face and casual body movements as they take the life of an innocent young boy as if they are just casually eating their food on the table. Once the procedure is done, all of them leave except one of the nurses, and she is assigned to put the 3 creatures in their proper places. Before she puts the jar in a room where different organs inside its respective jar can be found, she sees a lifeless body of Victor on the top of a hospital bed. She shows no remorse for the dead boy with a horizontal cut on his abdomen, similar to other doctors and nurses who have just left the operating room. Inside the storage room are brains, fetuses, and even unknown creatures. The nurse then proceeds to a ward where Nicholas and the other boys stay. To cover up their secret plan, she announces that Victor has recovered, and the nurse leaves a conch shell above Victor's bed, saying that he is giving it to them. This announcement of recovery signals to the remaining young boys that Victor will no longer stay with them in the hospital and assumes that he will probably get home. Once the nurse leaves the room, Nicholas' mother visits him to feed him, but her son refuses to eat. The child's stubbornness pisses his mother off, so she picks up her son's sketchbook that has been staying with him all the time. She looks inside of it and finds that Nicholas draws an orange-headed woman with sea stars around her collarbone. Nicholas tries to get his sketchbook back, but his mother shoves his hand, making the boy shouts that she is not his mother. The following clip shows Nicholas lying on his bed and the other boys in the room surrounding him. One of them takes Nicholas' sketchbook, and they find that the nurses have taken out the pages containing the boy's drawing. But one of them manages to get the page that caught the attention of Nicole's mother just a few minutes ago. It is the orange-headed woman. The boy places the paper beside Nicholas as they hold their share of thought. Remembering how Nicholas accuses the woman who claims to be his mother, the boys around him confess that the women who also care for them are not their mothers. After they share their thoughts, a nurse named Stella arrives in the room, making all the boys run towards their respective beds. The nurse has curly hair, a petite body, and fair skin that complements her simple, innocent face. Stella gets an interest in approaching Nicholas. She starts to develop a friendship by going to his bed and giving him crayons and paper. As Nicholas sketches, Stella also draws with him. When the nurse looks at the little boy's illustrations, she sees a drawing of a starfish, a bicycle, and a giraffe. When Nicholas starts to draw again, the nurse asks about it. It happens to be a Ferris wheel drawing, and Nicholas explains to the nurse that people ride it to have fun. That is the first time that Stella learns about the Ferris wheel because they do not have such a thing in the village. Once again, at night, the hospital nurses gather to watch a cesarean procedure on television. As the day passes, Stella and Nicholas' friendship gets more profound, making the female nurse reveal their secret to her little friend. She shows Nicholas her small gray box containing compiled pictures of different women with suckers on their backs, similar to what he sees in his claimed mother. In the evening, Stella and Nicholas sneak out and go to the shore. As they silently sit, the blows of the wind envelop their body and softly brushes their hair. The splashes of the waves harmonize with the calmness of the night. There, Stella slowly puts off her clothes and shows Nicholas her suckers on the back. To confirm what he sees on the back of Stella, Nicholas slowly raises his right hand. He touches each of the suckers, engraving on his mind that what he has seen from his mother and in the picture is accurate. After revealing the truth, Stella gets Nicholas and her into the water. Puzzled by his friend's motive, Nicholas tries to paddle his arms to swim away, but Stella captures them and drowns him. Once the helpless boy gets unconscious from drowning, conscience knocks on Stella's heart. It encourages her to take back her devious plan. With total regret, the nurse stares at Nicholas as tears fall from her eyes. She gently raises her arms and straightly places them on Nicholas to start chest compressions. Back in the hospital, Nicholas experiences a nightmare that leads him to be awake. He stands up from the bed and silently walks out of their room. As he goes out of the door, the hallway greets him with creep as if it is talking to him about the mysterious things he is about to uncover. After a few steps, Nicholas goes inside another room. There, he sees multiple beds, each having its own black trash bag on its top. On one of the beds, he sees a helpless boy who is half naked. To see the boy closely, Nicholas steps to reach near his bed. Once he stands at the bedside, the helpless boy grabs his hand and places it on his stomach. Nicholas tries to pull his hand back, but he is startled when he feels something in the boy's belly is moving. To his horror, Nicholas pulls his hand back again, but the boy forces him to feel his stomach until he gets up and turns to his side to vomit. The vomit appears to be black, like the color of polluted water. Nicholas' eyes widen and to get away from the boy, he runs out of the room. Nicholas proceeds to another room, and he slowly stops when he sees a boy inside a big tank full of water. His whole body sinks in the water, leaving his head as the only part to remain above for respiration. The boy's hands and feet are clasped with chains, disabling him to escape. In awe of the horrifying scene, Nicholas stares wide-eyed at another helpless boy. Still, before he leaves the room, one of the nurses sees him and grabs his arm to prevent him from escaping. They put Nicholas on a wheeled hospital bed, preparing his body for surgery. As they move, Nicholas stares at every rectangular light that passes through his sight. When they finally reach the operating room, Nicholas is placed under a surgical light with a starfish-shaped pattern. Maintaining his expression, Nicholas blankly stares at the light while the nurses prepare for his stomach to be surgically cut. When the operation is done, the following clip shows Nicholas floating inside a big tank. Similar to the boy he sees before his operation. His hands and feet are clasped with chains, but what horrifies the little boy more is the two premature babies floating with him. The movie ends with Nicholas being with Stella at the seashore. Both silently feel the night's winds and the waves' cold splashes. They again dive into the cold water and swim away together. Stella gently puts her lips on Nicholas to supply him with air. Each blow of her lips synchronizes with her strokes, persistent in executing her plan. When they get away from the shore, Nicholas wakes up in the small white row boat, which further floats away from their island. When Stella sees that Nicholas wakes up, she immediately goes to him and gives him some fresh water to drink. After Stella gives him some water and makes sure that the little boy can go through on his own, the nurse jumps off the boat to swim back to the island. Nicholas shouts Stella's name, but the nurse swims fast enough to hear his friend's voice. Taking every responsibility alone, Nicholas stays alone on the rowboat and lets the waves push him somewhere. When the night comes, sparkly lights and tall buildings greet the lost boy. But it also depicts that he returns to where he truly belongs, the city. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this to help the channel out. Have a nice day.